want you to hear this not with your ears, but with your nervous system, with your gut, with that quiet voice inside you that already knows the truth. Your life changes the moment you stop watching everyone else and start focusing on yourself. Not in a selfish way, not in an arrogant way, but in a disciplined, intentional, uncompromising way. Because every time you compare, every time you react, every time you give your attention to what doesn't matter, you give away your power. And power, real power, begins with focus. Most people don't lack potential. They lack direction. Their energy is scattered across opinions, expectations, distractions, and noise. They wake up and immediately give their attention to the world, to their phone, to other people's lives, other people's success, other people's judgments. And by the time the day has even begun, their emotional state is already hijacked. When you focus on yourself, you take that power back. You decide what matters. You decide who you are becoming. You decide how today will be lived, regardless of what the world throws at you. Focusing on yourself means reclaiming your attention and understanding that attention is the currency of your life. Whatever you focus on consistently becomes your reality. If you focus on problems, you feel powerless. If you focus on growth, you feel capable. If you focus on what you can't control, you feel frustrated. If you focus on what you can control, you feel strong. This is not philosophy, this is conditioning. Your brain is always being trained by repetition. And when you choose to focus inward on your standards, your values, your behaviors, you begin rewiring yourself for strength instead of reaction. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of human joy and momentum. When you focus on other people's timelines, you abandon your own. You start measuring your worth against someone else's results without seeing their struggle, their sacrifices, their pain. But when you focus on yourself, you shift the measurement. You ask better questions. Am I growing? Am I stronger than I was yesterday? Am I living closer to my values today than last week? These questions build identity, and identity shapes destiny. Focusing on yourself also means building unbreakable standards. Most people set goals and then wonder why they fall apart when motivation fades. Goals are temporary. Standards are permanent. When you raise your standards for how you think, how you act, how you treat your body, how you speak to yourself, your life must rise to meet them. You don't wait to feel like it. You don't negotiate with your excuses. You do what needs to be done because that's who you are now. Identity-based focus changes everything because once something becomes who you are, it no longer requires willpower. When you focus on yourself, you stop blaming. Blame is a way of giving your power away. Responsibility is how you reclaim it. Taking responsibility doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means everything is your responsibility to respond to. The moment you say, this is my life, this is my mind, this is my body, this is my future, and I will take ownership of it, you move from victim to creator. And creators don't wait for permission. They act, they adapt, they learn, they grow. Mastering your emotional state is one of the highest expressions of focusing on yourself. Life will always bring uncertainty. That will never change. But the quality of your life is determined by how you meet that uncertainty. When you train yourself to regulate your emotions, to change your physiology, to shift your language, you stop being controlled by external events. You don't deny pain. You don't suppress fear. You use them. You turn them into fuel. You ask, what is this emotion trying to teach me, and how can I use it to move forward? Your body is not separate from your focus. The way you breathe, the way you stand, the way you move affects how you think and feel. When you focus on yourself, you train your body for strength, energy, and resilience. You move with intention. You condition your nervous system to associate challenge with capability instead of threat. This is how leaders are made. Not by avoiding pressure, but by training themselves to perform under it. Focusing on yourself also means guarding your internal dialogue. The voice you hear most is your own, and for many people, it's the harshest critic they know. When you focus on yourself, you don't let that voice run unchecked. You challenge it. You reframe it. You turn it into a coach instead of a judge. You replace questions like, why am I like this, with how can I grow from this? Language shapes emotion. Emotion drives action. Action creates results. Daily investment in yourself is non-negotiable. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your rituals. When you focus on yourself, you build rituals that strengthen your mind, your body, and your spirit. You read things that expand you. You listen to voices that challenge you. You surround yourself with ideas that demand more from you. You don't wait for inspiration. You create it through action. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It is the decision to honor your future self over your present comfort. When you focus on yourself, you learn to delay gratification. You learn to do the hard thing now so life can be easier later. You learn that consistency beats intensity, that small actions repeated daily create massive results over time. This is how confidence is built, not through affirmations alone, but through evidence. You keep promises to yourself and trust is born. Focusing on yourself also means knowing when to be silent. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams, your plans, your inner world. Energy is precious. When you scatter it through explanation, validation, and oversharing, you weaken it. When you protect it, refine it, and channel it into action, it grows stronger. Let your results speak. Let your consistency speak. Let your life speak. When you focus on yourself, you stop waiting for external validation. You don't need applause to move forward. You don't need permission to grow. You become internally referenced. Your worth is not negotiated daily by likes, comments, or opinions. It is anchored in your values and your actions. This creates emotional independence, and emotional independence creates freedom. You begin to act from purpose instead of distraction. Purpose is not something you find. It is something you build through commitment. Every time you choose growth over comfort, truth over excuses, action over avoidance, you strengthen your sense of purpose. And the clearer your purpose becomes, the less distracted you are by things that don't matter. Focusing on yourself does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you become strong enough to contribute meaningfully. You cannot pour from an empty cup. The strongest leaders, the most impactful people, are those who have done the inner work. They have faced their fears. They have mastered their habits. They have built themselves from the inside out. And from that place, their presence alone elevates others. You start measuring success differently. Not by speed, not by comparison, but by alignment. Are my actions aligned with my values? Is my time aligned with my priorities? Is my energy aligned with the life I want to create? Alignment creates peace. Peace creates clarity. Clarity creates power. When setbacks come, and they will, focusing on yourself keeps you grounded. Instead of collapsing into self-pity or anger, you return to your standards. You ask, what is required of me now? What is the lesson? How do I grow stronger through this? This mindset transforms pain into progress. It turns adversity into advantage. Over time, something remarkable happens. The more you focus on yourself, the less noise affects you. The less you need approval, the less you react. You become centered, calm, certain, not because life is easy, but because you are strong. And strength built internally cannot be taken away externally. This is the path of mastery. It is not flashy. It is not instant, but it is real. It is earned daily through choices that no one applauds, through discipline that no one sees, through focus that no one understands until results appear. And when they do, people will call it confidence, luck, talent, destiny, but you will know the truth. You focused on yourself. You did the work. You became the person capable of creating the life you envisioned. Bring your focus back again and again, back to your breath, back to your body, back to your values, back to the actions that move you forward. Do not wait for motivation. Create it. Do not wait for clarity. Act into it. Do not wait for permission. Give it to yourself, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your focus. And when you focus on yourself with discipline, intention, and purpose, you begin to build a life that reflects your deepest strength, your highest standards, and your true potential. And as you continue this path of focusing on yourself, you'll start to notice something subtle, powerful, You become quieter inside, not empty, not disconnected, but calm. The kind of calm that comes from knowing you are aligned with who you are becoming. The noise of the world doesn't disappear, but it no longer controls you. Opinions lose their grip, distractions lose their pull. You stop chasing urgency and start honoring importance. You begin to understand that focus is not just about productivity, it is about identity. Every day you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. Every habit, every decision, every moment of self-talk is shaping your future self. When you focus on yourself, you stop making decisions based on emotion alone and start making them based on values. Values create direction. Direction creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. And confidence, real confidence, is quiet, grounded, and unshakable. You also begin to respect your time in a way most people never do. You realize time is not something to spend. It is something to invest. When you focus on yourself, you become ruthless with distractions. You don't say yes out of guilt. You don't overextend to feel needed. You understand that every yes to something unaligned is a no to your future. This clarity doesn't make you cold. It makes you intentional. And intention is what separates meaningful lives from busy ones. Focusing on yourself means learning to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. Growth lives in discomfort. Most people avoid it, numb it, or escape it. But when you focus on yourself, you lean in. You stay present when things are hard. You breathe through resistance. You ask better questions. What is this moment demanding of me? Who do I need to become to handle this? These questions strengthen you. They turn pressure into training. You begin to trust yourself more deeply. Trust is built the same way with yourself as it is with others, through consistency. When you do what you say you'll do, even when no one is watching, self-trust grows. And when self-trust grows, fear loses its authority. You don't need certainty about outcomes. You have certainty about yourself. You know that no matter what happens, you will adapt, learn, and move forward. This is where focus becomes freedom. Freedom from emotional chaos. Freedom from approval seeking. Freedom from living on someone else's terms. You stop asking the world who you should be and start answering that question for yourself through action. And action, repeated daily, becomes identity. As you grow, you'll notice fewer people understand you, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to walk this path. Some will stay comfortable. Some will stay distracted. Some will stay reactive. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to stay aligned. Alignment is powerful. It creates integrity. And integrity creates inner peace that no external success can replace. When challenges arise, and they always do, focusing on yourself gives you an anchor. Instead of spiraling, you return to fundamentals, your breath, your posture, your mindset, your next small action. You stop making problems bigger than they are and start making yourself bigger than the problem. This is not arrogance. This is training. Over time, your life begins to reflect your inner order. Your decisions become cleaner. Your relationships become healthier. Your goals become clearer. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And strength, real strength, is built quietly through daily discipline, honest self-reflection, and unwavering focus. Eventually, you realize something profound. Focusing on yourself was never about isolation. It was about preparation. Preparation to lead, preparation to serve, preparation to contribute from a place of fullness instead of depletion. When you are grounded in who you are, your presence alone becomes stabilizing for others. This is how transformation happens. Not overnight, not through motivation alone, but through sustained focus on becoming better, wiser, stronger, and more aligned every single day. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to keep showing up for yourself. Bring it back again. Back to what matters. Back to your standards. Back to your rituals. Back to the vision of who you are becoming. Let the world be loud if it wants to be. You stay centered. You stay focused. You stay committed. Because when you truly focus on yourself, you are no longer living by default. You are living by design. And when you stay on this path long enough, something else begins to emerge. Clarity. Not the kind of clarity that comes from having all the answers, but the clarity that comes from trusting your direction. You stop obsessing over outcomes and start committing to process. You stop asking how fast it will happen and start asking how well you're showing up. This shift alone changes the quality of your life. You begin to understand that focus on yourself is not a phase, it is a practice. Some days you'll feel strong, certain, energized. Other days you'll feel tired, unsure, tested. But when your focus is internal, those fluctuations don't derail you. You don't collapse emotionally because your confidence is not built on mood. It's built on habit. You keep moving forward because forward is who you are now. You also start noticing how much energy you used to waste explaining yourself, justifying your choices, defending your pace. When you focus on yourself, you don't need to explain your growth to anyone who isn't committed to it. You understand that silence is not weakness. Silence is focus. Silence is strength being refined. And in that silence, your vision becomes sharper. Focusing on yourself teaches you patience, real patience, not waiting passively, but working steadily without emotional desperation. You stop forcing timelines. You stop comparing chapters. You trust that what you are building takes time because it's real. And real growth always takes longer than shortcuts, but it lasts. Your relationship with failure changes too. Fail. Your no longer defines you. It informs you. When you are focused inward, mistakes don't attack your identity. They refine your strategy. You ask what worked, what didn't, and what must change. This turns every experience into feedback instead of judgment. And feedback is power. You also become more honest with yourself. Brutally honest, but compassionate. You stop pretending you don't know what needs to change. You stop negotiating with habits that hold you back. You stop telling stories that protect your comfort at the expense of your future. Honesty is uncomfortable, but it is liberating. And liberation begins the moment you tell yourself the truth and still choose to move forward. As you continue, discipline becomes less about forcing yourself and more about alignment. When your actions match your values, effort feels lighter. Not easy, but meaningful. You feel proud of how you live, even when results are still catching up. That pride fuels resilience. It keeps you steady when motivation fades. You begin to notice that your standards naturally rise. You tolerate less nonsense, less distraction, less self-betrayal. Not because you're rigid, but because you respect yourself. And self-respect changes how you move through the world. People feel it. Opportunities respond to it. Life mirrors it. Eventually, you reach a place where focusing on yourself no longer feels like effort. It feels like home. You know how to come back to yourself when life pulls you outward. You know how to ground yourself when emotions run high. You know how to reset when things go off track. This is mastery. Quiet, internal, earned. And from this place, you don't chase confidence, you embody it. You don't chase purpose, you live it. You don't chase success. You build it daily through disciplined focus, aligned action, and unwavering commitment to becoming your strongest self. Stay here. Stay focused. Stay honest. Stay committed. Because the most powerful transformation is not the one the world sees first, but the one that happens inside you when you finally decide to make yourself the priority you've always deserved.